Hey, there she is. Hey.
Hi, everybody. It finally started recording.
I know. We never know. It's always a surprise.
We sit there in silence staring at the camera for 5 seconds. It's because we can't tell if it started recording or not.
Yeah. We're always like, there it is. Yeah.
All right. So welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of The Blithe and the Blind. I am Joy.
I'm Julie. I'm the blind one. I'm always a little out of the box. So sorry. Not sorry. You know, you'd think I'd go boop and boop around the nose, but
we're in different rooms for that exact reason.
We're in the same house, but different rooms because I'd be like, boop. Yeah.
We
should do that one time and have her boop her own self.
We would never get anything done if we were in the same room. It wouldn't happen.
It wouldn't at all. But hey, everybody, how are you doing? Happy Pride still, y'all.
Happy Pride.
Because you know what? It's more than 2 weeks. So, yeah.
And I do want to...
It's a month.
It's literally called Pride Month. I know it's kind of wild, but I also want to throw out there for everybody who took the time to recognize and observe Juneteenth and do what you could to help support Black-owned businesses and any just friends or family members that you have. I know that Juneteenth means a lot to a lot of people, so we really hope you were able to take the day and observe it and do what you wanted or needed to do that day.
Ate some yummy food. There's all kinds of fun food associated with Juneteenth and fun activities. I know in our little town we have a few things during the summertime that happen in our little town square. Our little town center is actually a square.
It's quite actually a square.
It's a square. Yeah. It's like Mayberry, if anybody who knows anything about that. Anyway, but they have a celebration. We have it's called Hatch. So it's all about arts and entertainment and different things the weekend surrounding Juneteenth. And there is always someone there to talk about the history of Juneteenth and do some readings and educate the community on Juneteenth. So, and they're always super fun and very relatable and it's a safe place, right? Which we talk about a lot, safe place. We did not get to go this year. I'm in the midst of a crazy reno situation because I'm the village crazy lady.
And I work part-time on most weekends, so.
Yeah. So, but it's a really cool event. And for anybody who went out there who's local to us, I hope you had fun because the people who do the Juneteenth stuff are very cool people. So anyway, lots to learn. If you don't know about it, Google it, check it out, all that fun stuff. There's a lesson in there for everybody. So yeah. So happy Juneteenth. Happy Pride Month, as she said, because it's a month.
And I understand Indie Pride for those of you in Indiana. That is, we're in Indiana. In case you didn't know, we're Midwestern as hell. So, for those of you in Indiana, anybody who went to Indie Pride, congrats. Wish I could have made it out this year, but I got sick the last few times I went to Indie Pride, so I couldn't risk it.
True. Yeah, it's true.
We'll get back to that later. But I hope you guys had fun at Indie Pride. And just because Indie Pride is over, it doesn't mean Pride Month is yet.
Right.
We're only going to say that a million more times throughout the episode. So
yeah, because I've already seen people like, well, now that Pride's over, I'm like, it's not. So yeah, and for those of you keeping track, we are recording in the week of 6/24. So the 24th of June the month is not over yet.
So 6 days.
Yeah. So party on, y'all. Party on. Find whoever you are and do you. So do it loud and proud. And if you're not safe or don't feel safe to do that, then we're going to talk about that today, aren't we? We're going to talk about safety.
Absolutely. But you said party on, and now my brain's stuck on Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Party on.
Party on, dudes.
Party on, dudes. Be righteous to each other.
Safety. Safe places.
Be righteous to each other. It's a great movie, by the way. You should watch it. It's super great.
He's a righteous dude.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about safety. We're going to talk about safety in a lot of different ways. Once again, for those who are new to our podcast, we are not a political podcast. We do not say what our affiliation is. If you listen close enough, I'm sure you'll know, but we don't talk about that. But there are certain things in order to talk about safety with each other, whether that's in the disability community, LGBTQ plus community, hidden disability community, any of that. Safety is a big a big thing. And unless you've lived under a rock, you maybe aren't aware that there have been so many things that have happened in the LGBTQ plus community in the last several years. But I'm going to read some statistics. And if you try to fight me on it in the comments, I'll just delete them. So there's that. But
and I want to throw out there, we're not deleting it because, like, if you disagree with us, again, we're not political, and I'm not here to start a fight.
Yeah, we're not fighting.
I'd look at you and I'd say, "You want to fight?"
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, it's true. She's pretty.
I'm not inviting that.
She's like, want to go outside? You take it outside.
No, I'll fight you right here, right now.
It's true. Well,
we're in different rooms. But I would so fight her right here, right now. But
it's true. We're in different rooms, and my line doesn't reach. So anyway, that's a bummer. So here's some food for thought that we're going to discuss, and then we'll talk from our personal experience, which is what we can talk about, and what we can address is our personal experience. And that's one of the reasons I talk about, if you try to fight us in the comments, we're going to delete it, because we're speaking from our personal experience, and other people can't argue about my experience because you haven't experienced it, or their experience because you haven't experienced their experience.
Feel free to share your experiences in the comments. I mean, if you're just sharing your experience, that's not you saying, "Oh, but you didn't experience that." That's just you saying, "This is how I experienced it." So, feel free to share that.
Absolutely.
But if you just come on and you're just like, "That's not true." Okay, good sir, good ma'am, good whoever you are, the lady, you can't freaking tell me that I didn't experience what I experienced.
Right.
I was there for it.
Right. Ooh. I got excited. Rendering of clothing, all of a sudden. I'm like, you got it. It's early on. We're only like 6 minutes in, and I'm like,
keep it on.
Yeah. So stuff I want to talk about real quick, and then we'll go from there, because these are big numbers and they're kind of scary. So like 525 different bills were introduced in 41 states in the last year. Like that, 220 of these bills were explicitly targeting transgender people. That's a lot. That's 76 have been signed into law since June 5th of this year. June 5th of this year, 2023.
Happy Pride Month.
It's more than any other year that has ever been on record. More bills, more things. And it's more than double in the last year. So safety is a huge concern in the LGBTQ plus community. And it's a huge escalating concern. So the reality is that there are things that are targeting people I love and people you love, whether you know it or not, and people that you care about, people that you kind of like, and maybe people you don't care about. But if we don't start talking about how people can be safe and remain safe, then we're not going to start building a compassion for people, humans, other humans out there that deserve it, right? So just to throw all those statistics out there is scary. I mean, that's scary. It is upsetting. And so we're going to talk about how we remain safe when we're out, and how we can protect ourselves in different ways. The biggest thing on my side that I deal with is education and awareness. As a blind person, I'm a cisgender woman, so I'm not an LGBTQ plus person, but I am an ally. I like to think I'm an ally.
More times than not, yeah.
They can tell you more than I can. Hey, if I'm gonna upset you by throwing a comment your way that's a little on the snarky butt side, then I'm gonna do it for anybody, right? So equal opportunity offender in that doesn't make it better, but
it makes it a broader spectrum.
It's not necessarily because you're LGBT. Those GBTs. Hi, I'm stroking.
Rain.
Yes. It's not because you're part of the LGBTQ plus community. It's probably because you're a jerk. And
Or
I go
probably
for
not, yeah. Sometimes you
sometimes
did nothing, she just says it, and then it's, "Oh,
it's
that came out aggressively."
yeah, I did that the other day. I said hello massively aggressively at a bank.
It was like there was no passive to the aggressive, it was just like, "Hello," and you're like, "Jesus."
And then I heard it and I'm like, ah, that was rather aggressive. Anyway, I try to
I
recognize
didn't
it.
do anything to a Pottery Barn, man.
Right. So, but my biggest thing that I have to do is educate people and give awareness to people because um, most people don't come across blind people very often, and then they have a preconceived notion of what a blind person looks like, right? Like and Joy has experienced that with me, where people are like, well, how blind is she? I don't know how blind are you? I don't know why you have to ask that question. And is she really blind?
That's
So
my favorite one.
yeah. Is she really blind?
I'm
Well, no,
smiling
she
because
just
I'm a
walks
jerk, I'm
into
not gonna
stuff
lie.
on purpose.
I am
Yeah.
smiling because I'm a jerk.
Yeah.
That's
No,
my
I know
favorite
exactly
one.
why you're smiling because we've heard that. We've heard
'Cause
that out
and
and we've,
people will ask, they're like, "Well, clearly she's not really blind, she just took the check," and I'm like, "Maybe you didn't hear me mutter, 'Hey, the check's in front of you,' or because, for the last 50 some odd years of her life, people hand the check directly in front of your
yeah.
face,
Yeah.
so all you have to do is grab it."
Or they'll meet your hand. Like like giving a handshake. People will meet your hand. So all I
You
have
the
to do
first
is
one to
put
put
my
your hand
hand
out,
out
somebody's
there.
going to grab it.
Yeah, all I have to do is put my hand out and somebody's going to grab it. That's just a thing. But
It's
anyway,
Psych 101, like actual Psych 101.
right?
You
It's
put your hand
mirroring.
out, somebody knows, "Oh, I'm
People
gonna
will
hand them
mirror
this
you.
thing to their hand."
And in the service industries, people are trained to mirror you. That's what they do. So, I match energy. Who are we going to be today? You know what I mean? So,
Usually curmudgeon-y, but that's because I tend to work with older people, so.
because internally she's like 80.
Excuse me. Internally and right here. Okay?
Yeah,
Right
I
here.
I actually called her grandpa before we got on the air.
I was doing something and she was just like, "Okay, grandpa,
Okay,
whatever
grandpa.
you say."
Yeah, I told you it had nothing to do with anything except she
Has
old.
nothing to do with anything except for what I say at times.
It's true. It's true. But education and awareness, I think, honestly helps with the safety factor sometimes because, it turns into the more you know, right? Rainbow star. Ding. Um, but I think people have such it sounds terrible because we're on it, but people have this social media, Pinterest, Instagram thought process of what blind people are or what LGBTQ community looks like, what a trans person looks like, which is crazy with this as out there as so many people are these days in the 2023 timeframe. And there's so many great examples of people who live their life in their truth that it boggles my mind that people don't understand it yet. Like, what don't you get, right?
Yeah, well, and it kind of makes me think of I didn't. Hi, look me in the eyes. Hello.
I'm looking at you.
Just because the TV shows blind people wearing sunglasses all the time does not mean that blind people wear sunglasses all the time.
Yeah, and here's a pro tip: blind people wear sunglasses because the sun will literally burn straight through your retina into your brain hole if you don't wear them. For some people, we're very light sensitive. I don't wear my sunglasses all the time, but I do have these.
And you also
And
don't wear them a lot when you're supposed to.
it's true. You know what, Grandma?
You've gotten better about it.
I have, because it burns through my eye hole into my brain. So yeah, and I do have
how I love
do
you.
I do have regular glasses that aren't
Those are
tinted.
your regular glasses.
Yeah, but I have them that aren't tinted, but
You have
they
them that are
don't.
like mine, all clear and stuff.
Yeah, but those don't help me. So there's that. So it's being out. It's amazing for me how much people think I represent the entire blind community. Like,
You're
I'm
a
one
blind
person.
aren't you?
Yeah. Oh, so all blind people, blah. And I'm like, no. And my cane that I use has a roller tip. It's a big ball.
Yeah, I need to look at that.
And it has a big ball on it, but it rolls. And I think I've mentioned it before. It sounds like a stroller.
Mm-hmm.
And then people have it in their head. They're like, why do you have that one? I'm like, blind canes have all kinds of different tips you can have. They have one for ice and one for sand and one to be out and about in the regular world and one for inside if you need it. And it's different. Like you have different tires or different shoes or whatever. It's the same. It is the same thing. But yeah. So anyway, so for LGBTQ plus, I can't speak for that. Like, what do you feel like as a member of that community? Do you feel like you have to educate and bring awareness more often than not when you're out?
So, when I go out, I'm what you call passing. So, people see me in public 9 times out of 10. They do not clock me as a member of LGBT community because, well, it's not at the forefront of what I do 90% of the time. It's not at the forefront of how I portray myself. I actually recently told some people that I've known for some time. I was like, yeah, well, you know, I'm asexual. And they're like, what? Like, yeah. And they're like, since when? I'm like, well, since always.
Yeah.
Shockingly enough. So,
now a lot of people don't understand what that means.
Well, to be fair, the way I use it also isn't necessarily the definition.
Right.
But it is one of those where it's like when that comes up,
mm-hmm.
I do have to explain it because I fall in a really weird niche in the category of ace. So explaining it to people is really hard to do. Basically, the long and short of it is there have been countless studies that have shown if you are having sex with a partner, then the experience is going to be better if you have feelings for that person than if it's just like a hookup. You know, it's like you're just going to have a better overall experience because you guys care about each other. You want to do what makes each other happy kind of thing.
Right.
That said, that doesn't mean you necessarily have to have the emotional connection to be intimate with a partner.
Right.
I do not experience sexual attraction to people. I don't experience sexual attraction to objects, anything, really. I just don't. Mm-hmm. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've spent the last 22 years learning to go, the things I'd let him do to me. So I can sound the part.
Right.
I know how to sound the part. I'm very good at sounding the part. Unclockable at times. But at the same time, they're hollow words to me. They just, it's whatever, you know? So for me to even experience any kind of sexual attraction, I first have to feel deeper emotional intimacy with a person. Mm-hmm. And fun fact, when you're in your 20s, not a lot of people are down for that. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's just kind of a thing. I also am not huge in the dating scene for several reasons. And part of it is just because I don't care whether I'm alone or not. Right. My parents, shout out, Mom. I know you're watching this. So, but my parents.
Is she?
Maybe sometimes she cares.
Yeah.
So,
I met her. She's weird.
Yeah. They always taught us, and this is something that I know a lot of my friends still struggle with. You don't need another person in your life to make you complete. You just don't, you know? And if your philosophy is that you got to go and you got to find the other person who completes you, I'm not crapping on that. I'm not trying to take that away from you. That's how you feel, and that's okay. I can't stand people for prolonged periods of time.
True story.
I am.
And yet we live together.
To put it nicely, I'm incredibly anal retentive and I am very difficult to live with at times. Shout out Grace, you know what I'm talking about. Hey, homie. And I'm fully aware that I'm really difficult to deal with. But that's also why I got a dog. part of my reason for getting a dog is because I enjoy the companionship factor. It's why I like having a roommate, but I also like having my own room. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be in it ever. Mm-hmm. This is me. This is my space. Do not pass go.
Well, and I think that helps explain because even though where you are in the ACE community is I don't want to say minority. I
think it's pretty minority within
that. It's a smaller sect, I guess. But that being said, it's not that you don't experience love or affection. It's a different kind of love and affection because you you love your nieces and nephews, and you care for them, and you have affection for them, and
I love my friends. I do.
right.
I mean,
Same.
hell, every time I hang up the phone, especially with one of my best friends, last words I say before I hang up the phone, before I leave the car, before we stop hanging out, I'm like, hey, I love you.
Right. And we've expressed that a lot in well, to you guys growing up and do that. There are certain friends I do that for, because it's, to me personally, how I explain that is it's not a needy thing. It's, if something happens to you, I want the last words to be, even if we're in a fight, and Joy and I fight a lot. We're similar people in a lot of ways.
We get along on camera 10 out of 10 times. Off camera, I'd say it's about a 3 out of 9.
That's not true. It's more like a 5 out of 9.
All right, close to 2/3.
Yeah. And it's a lot of, oh, there I go again. Whoop, there she goes again.
We talked about flashing last episode, not this one.
Oh, that's right. So,
too late.
I know. I'm always too late. But a lot of it has to do with, we recognized way early on, we are similar people. And so there are we have similar interests, similar lots of things. And we're so similar personality wise that we know that. So sometimes in the middle of a disagreement, it's a matter of, we're saying the same things with different words. It's okay.
Other times it's who can be stubborn the longest.
Pretty much. But we also don't
give her run for her money, man.
We also don't hold on to anger. We let it go. It's like, okay, that moment's past. We're moving on. One of us did it.
I'm working on it.
And I was that way when I was younger. In my 20s, because I'm an old lady, technically, I'm just the old lady.
She's almost the same age as the Golden Girls.
We found that things you find out in the car when you're driving.
Google it.
I did. So yeah, I'm older than Rue McClanahan was when she started Golden Girls. So
that is true. Yes.
But we don't hold on to anger. But when I was in my, at least to each other, right? Over certain things maybe. When I was in my 20s, I held on to anger for a long time. And then when you get to the point where it's like, hey, they don't really know I'm still angry. So who is that helping? Oh, nobody.
Those of you out there I'm still angry at, you know exactly who you are. And
she's got a list.
You know dang well why. It's on a floppy disk.
I never know. Yeah, it's on a floppy disk with your dad's floppy disks in the garage.
In that garage.
Yeah. And with the camping stuff. But, and there are times when we're out, going back to that awareness and education thing, right? So there are times when we're out where I get so frustrated and mad at people. Mm-hmm. And then I get in the car, and she's been with me. I get in the car, and then we replay it, because your ADHD brain replays every freaking conversation you've ever had.
And some of us are a little obsessive compulsive and just like to review everything about 12 times.
Yeah. So then it turns into, those people have moved on. Why am I still angry 20 minutes later? Because they don't even care. They've learned nothing. You know what I mean?
The other thing, and it kind of goes along the lines of that, and this is going to be the extreme end of the spectrum, so bear with me.
Yeah.
But for the people out there who don't feel safe because there are a rising number of, and I hate to say, there are a rising number of hate crimes going on, especially against.
And that's what they are, hate crimes.
One, it is absolutely a hate crime, and if you see one happening, please report it. Even if the person themselves is too afraid to report it, somebody go report it.
Somebody needs to report it.
Yeah. Somebody report it. But like I said, I know there are people out there who feel unsafe to that. And I know that for some of us, it gets us very angry, gets us worked up, and it makes us want to do something. But here's what I want you to remember. Whoever it is committing the hate crime is not worth your time. They are not worth the assault charges you will face. And they're not worth the jail time you will likely serve. Okay? Yeah. So are you willing to throw away part of your life because of somebody else's stupidity?
Yeah.
Or
ignorance. Yeah.
Or ignorance. Or, and it's awful to say it, or are you willing to go to the police, report it, and hope something comes of it? Because in one of those ways, you at least won't end up in jail.
Right.
Most of the time.
And I tell you
Can't
straight up.
guarantee that. Do not take that as a guarantee.
Yeah, well, we all too pretty for jail, y'all. I mean, every last one of us, we are too pretty for jail. And this person is not built for jail in any way, shape, or form. Is too structured. I don't want to dress like everybody else. And I cannot handle being in a small room with somebody I don't know for that long, because this is the person that will get in trouble. So
similarly, I am also not built for jail. As I said, I don't care for people, and I don't care for people in my space.
Right. Could you imagine?
And I will end up probably not doing too hot there.
Yeah.
It would be great.
Yeah. And
most of the things we just said were jokes.
So, yeah, we talked about. Yeah. See earlier portion of this.
Report hate crimes if you see it.
Yeah, and report them. So,
and I know it's terrifying if it happens to you.
Yeah.
Don't get me started. It is terrifying when it happens to you.
Mm-hmm.
Find a safe space. Find a person who is a safe space that you can, at the very minimum, talk about it with.
Absolutely.
That was so grammatically incorrect, but
well, that's okay.
Find a friend.
Yeah.
Who will let you talk about it. Find a therapist, if you need one, to let you talk about it.
Right.
Because if you just sit there and sit on it, it's going to hurt you more in the end.
100%. And to go back to that, if you don't feel safe in your own home, and if you don't feel safe in your own community, find one. And I know that's like, find one. No, I mean, go. I know y'all young people aren't on Facebook, but find a community, whether that's a TikTok sect. And there are out there, y'all know TikTok. I know TikTok. You can be on TikTok for hours and end up in all kinds of different sites.
I don't go on TikTok much. Sorry, Grace.
Well, yeah. So, go find that side and find influencers or people out there that post positive content.
Tumblr has the biggest gay community I've ever seen online.
It does. Tumblr does. And
you're going to see some weird things.
Yeah.
Just brave your way past it. I believe in you.
I know there's positivity on Pinterest, and there's positivity on TikTok, and there's positive places on Facebook. There's a group called Free Mom Hugs. I will tell you straight up, I love those people. It is a great group of people, and they will tell you where they're going to be if you just need a hug in your life. And I love hugging people. So,
and
yeah.
Well, and I said
they're not sponsored. So
no, not a sponsor. But I also want to circle back to, if you don't feel safe in your community or in your home, again, easier said than done, but get out if you can. And if you can't yet, please make sure you are making a contingency plan in case you have to get out of Dodge quick.
Yeah.
It's really sad that we have to talk about LGBT safety in this way, but it just feels like overall things are getting less safe at the moment. And that's just a really upsetting thing to go through.
It is.
But like I said, it's like we've been talking about, if you can find a friend, find a community, find somewhere you can go that will be better and more accepting and helpful for you. And if not, again, if you just can't get out, we understand it happens. There are times when you are legitimately stuck in a situation.
Yes.
You can't do anything about it. And that is more than anything.
Right. There are small communities in every community that will take you in and accept you for who you are. In every community, there's a small group of people that will be more than happy to help and assist. So please know that. And
for anybody out there who is LGBT, who's watching this and doesn't know where you might be able to get help, the Trevor Project, still not sponsored. We are not sponsored by anybody.
No.
Not yet. But the Trevor Project has a lot of really good resources on their website, and all you have to do on their website, if you can't safely be there at home, if somebody starts walking in the door, you hit, I believe it's the escape key, and it just goes into a screensaver.
Yep.
And you can come back to the website later.
Mm-hmm.
That's I cannot emphasize how important it is that
Yeah.
is built in, but they have good resources
Yes.
for people to reach and to use. And it still works if you're in incognito mode, because some websites it gets weird about that.
Right.
Still works if you're in incognito mode as well on Google. So just keep that in mind.
If
This is a heavy episode. Welcome to Pride Month episode.
Well, but it is right now. And just know, if you can get to your local library, you can search all you want to search. So they've got computers there. You can.
And the cache clears every like 24 hours or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, the biggest thing is find community support for yourself. Even if it's, like I said, some body positive online that you can watch, because that alone will help your mental capacity to know that, okay, this is okay. And being who I am is okay. And living whatever my truth is okay. Don't be a jerk. That's the only thing,
That seems to be our philosophy on a lot of things. And
just don't be a jerk.
True. Just don't be a jerk. Don't be a jerk.
Right.
Oh, and don't be a jerk.
Yeah. I mean, you do you, boo. But that's pretty much it. And know that you've got 2 people here that are here for you, and support you and want to be part of your community. We want to be part of your community. We're a little wacky too, and we're cool with that. So, you be your genuine freaky deaky self, and that's cool, man.
And allies out there, if you're out there, you want to be an ally, you're not sure how to be an ally, there's several ways. You can go online and find different places. There are a lot of businesses where, you order something and they put together a kit and they can send it to somebody who may not be able to afford certain materials, I guess the best, certain products.
Right.
I follow a crochet business, and it's a trans man, and he has packages with kind of basically trans men starter kit. So it's like, it's a binder and there's some tape and there's like all these other things that trans men can use to kind of help with any dysphoria they're facing. And it gets sent out every X so many orders, they can send out a package to somebody.
Right. And I know there are companies that have stuffed animals that have literal heads that screw off of them, where you can stash money or things that you may need to if you're not feeling safe. And it's a really cool thing that you can have. I don't want to give too many secrets away, but because it's a really cool project as well that was started by somebody who was in a situation they needed to hide some things. And it was a great way just to have it there as a step. Nobody's gonna think about, ooh, what's in this bear head, so that's a cool.
How is your bear head?
What?
How is your bear head?
Well, never gotten complaints. Yeah. But, it's stuff like that. And if you find a safe way to, whether it's an incognito screen or go to a library or borrow a friend's computer or whatever, Google some resources that might help you. Once again, there's so many out there. And the Trevor Project is great about listing them. So,
and this is, obviously, again, this one's on the very extreme end of the spectrum, but if you are an ally and you just keep thinking to yourself, like, I want to do more, there are LGBT people looking for housing all the time. And if you have the space and the resources to help them out and just get them back on their feet, even, that helps. LGBT youth in homeless shelters is really skyrocketing because a lot of people are getting kicked out of the house if they come out. Or if somebody outs them. Because that's another way that my lovely friends out there could keep their friends and family safe. If you got a friend or a family member who is LGBT and they don't really actively share it a lot, there is likely a reason why.
Right.
And I want to say this straight up. I've said it before in this episode. We live in Indiana. This episode alone, the past 3 episodes we've done during Pride Month, could get me fired from any job I work at, because I very actively am claiming and expressing that I'm an LGBT person. And Indiana is what you call a fire at will state kind
Fire
of
at will.
situation.
Yeah.
So they don't necessarily have to have a reason to get rid of me. They don't ever have to list a reason. So I'm fully aware of the repercussions every single time we make an episode.
Yeah.
And I'm making it anyways because this is important to me.
Yes.
But
yeah. And there are people out there who can't do that.
If you are a true ally,
yeah,
you will never out a gay friend or family member to somebody that you know is not safe.
Right. Right. And
do not do it. And
just
it
know
really
it's not your story to
people.
tell. It's just not your story to
It's
tell.
not.
Just don't. Just let me put this in cisgender format for you. I'll translate for those out there who don't understand. If you've ever been pregnant and didn't want somebody to know about it until you were ready, and then they said it before you were ready, how pissed were you? If you
that
were
worked for cisgender heterosexual women.
Yes, it did. Yeah. And couples that were I don't want to say normative, but that was the wrong word to use. Cisgender heteronormative couples. If you've been engaged in any way and somebody said that before, if somebody handed you a gift, and then before they handed you the gift, some kid blurted out what it was. I had that happen.
Speaking from personal experience,
This kid held it. It wasn't that kid. It was a different kid. This kid held in what this was.
You know who you are, and I know you're watching this.
And he watches. He watches. So he held in what this gift was because he helped his daddy pick it out until it was handed to me. I hope you like your ice cream maker, Mama. Like, so close, buddy. So close.
He did his best.
So close.
You were still surprised, weren't you?
So if anybody's ever told you about a surprise party or you found out beforehand, I've done that. I've found out twice about surprise parties for my own self. Beforehand.
Yeah, so we don't throw her parties anymore.
Well, because people tell me things. Yeah. So if anything surprise-wise has ever been ruined for you, think about, and you didn't have to worry about safety measures after the fact. And how mad were you? So let's put that into perspective. You are risking other people's lives when you out them and they're not ready for it. Period. Don't do it.
To all my queer homies out there, we all know it, but once you come out the first time, you never stop coming out. I mean, it's always, there's a new person, and something eventually comes up and it's like, oh yeah, well, I'm gay, I'm bi, I'm part of the LGBT community.
Right.
You have to come out so many times in your life. But you don't have to come out to every single person you meet.
Right.
And for my heteronormative friends, my straight allies out there, I see you, I love you guys. But just don't do that to people.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is, I mean, it's a safety thing. But the other thing is, they may not be ready to come out because they haven't come to terms and they don't know necessarily if what they've told you is actually how they identify. I've been through several different labels myself. That's why I just throw out queer, because it encompasses things.
Right.
So like, I mean, it turns into, you could also just be spreading misinformation.
Yeah. Unnecessarily. Yeah.
Unnecessarily. Because just because I told you last week, oh, I'm bisexual.
Right.
That may or may not be correct. Who knows?
Right.
Who cares?
Right. Well, and it's a process.
It's not your information to share.
Right. And it's a process.
Some people know right away, like, oh, I'm gay. Great. That works for you. You're vibing with your life. Have fun with that. Some people, on the other hand, they're like, I'm gay. Or am I?
Right.
No, I am. Or am I?
Right.
And it becomes a whole back and forth. By erasure also. Cut it out.
Right. So
stop it.
So for the allies out there, to be an ally, a true ally, the biggest takeaway I can give to you from my experience is and I don't use this term flippantly, it's unconditional love and respect. Do you love the human race? Period. The end. Cool. But guess what? That encompasses all of those people in the human race, except the jerks.
I'm very genuinely frustrated with myself talking about that, so I need a minute.
But it's all of humanity, all of them, like all of them.
And if you thought I was a human before you found out I was LGBT, why does that change? I'm still a human. I'm just a different human than what you created in your brain. I don't know what to tell you, Chief.
And it's not really that different. I mean,
I'm the same person. I just, you know a little bit more than I would care right now.
Well, they're the same person. Some days a little more cranky than others.
Unnecessary.
I'm choosing violence right now. I am choosing violence right now. So it's but we're all that way. Some days we're great and some days we suck and all that stuff. But to be an ally means we love unconditionally, and even my unconditional love has conditions.
Always.
If you're a jerk, if you're a jerk, you're a jerk. And the first person who hands me coffee I love the most. That's period, the end. That's been since the beginning of time. So
if you're an ally and you have questions about the community, ask them. Don't be I was going to say a different word. I'm worked up now. Don't be a
jerk.
I was going to say urethra, but okay. Don't be a jerk about asking the question. You don't have to be like, well, I just don't understand. Okay, hold on. Breathe.
Right.
I know I'm getting up, but like you could just go, okay, so I guess I don't understand what that's about. Can you explain it to me? I get that. I don't understand. I just don't get it. I just don't. And we know people who do. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't get it. And I'm like, what don't you get, sweetheart? Like breathing, gravity. You also don't have to get it.
Like gravity is a theory. Okay. It's not a law. So we just sort of follow it. And breathing is just something we do. Right. So the reason
I have to breathe, you should if you want to stay alive, but you don't have to.
So that is and that's something that Joy has heard her whole life. What don't you get? Like breathing, gravity, I don't get. And the reason I don't think I ever discussed this part. The reason those two things were always the one that were chosen is one is just something you do. You don't think about it, you just do it. The other one is something you learned that may or may not be true and accurate.
Some of us do have to think about breathing, but that's a story for another time.
Asthmatic. Anyway, so having said that, the reason those two things were chosen is one is just something we do. The other is something we learned, but we may or may not agree that it's part of our lives. Like, I don't agree with gravity, but I'm still on this earth. Do you know, that's a lie. I do agree with gravity because that's why I weigh so much. Anyway,
no, but I wish I could stop believing in gravity and just float to the ceiling.
Wouldn't that be great?
Like a party balloon and just hang out up there.
I don't believe in it anymore. And then your big old butt's flying. Anyway, so you don't have to believe it for it to be accurate, right? And then just the other part to that is it's just who they are. It's just what they do, like breathing. They just breathe. They're people. They're humans. That's just part of life. And isn't to me, all life is precious except for the jerks.
And she does mean precious in a good way, not like, oh, you're precious.
Well, because I do use that. But what I mean is, if you've ever seen me around a small child, all life is precious. Like, I want to hold it. I want to squeeze it. I want to squish it. I want to do that with my whole heart. But I want to do that with every human being I meet. I've just learned to constrain myself. Right?
Because she always pushes my face.
And it's true. Because the other one doesn't like being touched. So I try to respect that.
But if I'm mad, I get the cheek squeeze and the squish.
Squish. What
do you have to say to stop getting your cheek squeezed?
What do you have to say?
Mommy, open the door.
Open the door.
Every time. She's squishing your face so hard. Yeah, you have to say it because it makes her giggle.
And then it makes you giggle, and then it's better.
And then you feel stupid, and it's just a whole thing.
Just a whole thing.
When it happens in public and you're 20-something years old, it's really weird.
It's a little awkward.
But you knew it since childhood.
Yeah. But the point in all of that is, number one, it's a safe space. Number two, ask questions. ask questions. People ask me questions all the time. It's never the question that's the problem. It's how the question is being asked or the intent behind the question. And sometimes you can hear the intent before the question's being asked. Like I don't get it and I don't understand and I don't want to understand, but I'm asking you because I feel like I should. Don't do that. If you have a question, ask it.
And the other thing is, if you understand or you think you understand something, but you're seeing something that contradicts that understanding, you know, ask the question, you know, because it could be just a common like misconception. Oh, all blind people wear sunglasses inside. They don't.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do it just to mess with you.
Yeah, or they're having a bad eye day.
Yeah,
and it goes along with, well, all gay people, all people in the queer community and gay people cross dress or
have impeccable fashion taste.
Or having impeccable fashion taste, or are interior designers or hairdressers or whatever, insert whatever there. That is a fallacy. Stop it. Stop it.
But I mean, like I said, it's just one of those things where, again, the LGBT community is on the same page as the disabled community because people will say something and you're like, wow, that's just not correct.
Yeah, you've seen two movies. Yeah.
And it's one of those things that, again, it depends on how you're bringing it up. If you say something that's a misconception and I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, you genuinely believe that.
Right.
I'm going to say, hey, so do you know XYZ?
Right.
9 times out of 10, the answer is like, what?
Right.
And so we get in a conversation. I'm not trying to correct you just to be, you know, Mr. Pretentious. And when I am, you'll know it. But
100%.
if I'm trying to say, you know, that's not true, right?
Yeah.
It's probably because I either have a different idea of it or I've spent time around, you know, X group of people or X object or had whatever experience a million times. And I can tell you that's just not how that goes, you know?
Right.
Not everybody is having the same lived experience here.
Yeah, yeah. And I will throw out a real to life experience.
That's next episode's topic.
What?
So just don't do too many because that's next episode's topic is misconceptions.
Right. Misconceptions, definitely.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. So one of the things that we're going to talk about in a real, like I said, a real to life thing is there is a relative in our life that we will, I'm sure, discuss a little bit next week, next episode, is she's 2 and she spends time in a wheelchair or a wheelchair stroller or whatever she is.
She's kind of a jerk sometimes too.
She is, but
in a fun way, in that like 2-year-old way.
In that 2-year-old way, you know, all 2-year-olds are jerks. 2 and 3-year-olds, they're just jerks. There's a different word for them, like butthole. But and I've spent a lot of time around 2 and 3-year-olds. Don't come at me in the comments on that. They're all buttholes. Because they learn certain things. Anyway, so she communicates through sign, and her mother was told that communication for her was going to be iffy at best, and that girl communicates all she wants in a few signs, and
she can hear what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. She can't
vocalize her response. So she uses sign language to try and let you know what she wants, needs, is talking about, anything like that.
Yeah, and she's hysterically funny, and she knows she's funny, and she's
funny even when she's not.
A super jerk sometimes, but
usually I think she's really funny when she's just being a jerk.
Right, but the misconception there is the fact that her lived experience is so above and beyond what anybody thought her lived experience was going to be, and it leans
dramatic sometimes too.
So dramatic. But 2 and 3-year-olds are, but that leans into the lived experience that we have. And once again, I will speak from my point of view that I have a lived experience as a handicapped or visually impaired person or disabled person. I don't care. All those words are fine with me. That is a privileged one to a point, and I am quite aware of that. I look for resources. I study and find resources. I do everything I can to use every resource that is available to me because I would rather utilize what is out there for me than have it sit and be underutilized, because there's so many out there available for everybody. What? You're laughing.
I'm just like, that's where we differ on this front, because
Yes.
I'll look up resources and I will read them, but at the same time, I'm a little obsessive compulsive, and I'm not using that in the colloquial sense. I mean, I'm legitimately obsessive compulsive. I will share that with you guys today. So if I find one that I like or that says something particular, I will reread it so many times, because my brain will get stuck on whatever part of it and just keep repeating it to myself. And so I reread it. I'm like, that's not what it said. And that's what it said. I'm like, that's still not what it said. And I read it again.
Right.
So I don't really read resources as often. I'll talk to a doctor, and if they recommend websites, I'll go check it out. Or if they recommend articles, I might go check it out. But for the most part, if I do that, it just freaks me out more.
Right.
Personally, thanks, anxiety. We love you.
Yeah. She's kind of a jerk too.
I just, but like,
this is my sister Flo.
I still try to find ways that I can make, I can make my lived experience in some way better or different or less painful than it used to be, because otherwise I am going to be sad, in pain, and really frustrated all day. And that slowly, like, I had a roommate in college who, I mean, because my stuff got really bad at one point, like, he walked in the room and almost every time he's like, are you mad at me? Did I do something? I'm like, no, you're fine. And he's like, really? Because you're tense.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's not you. It's just, and I'd be like, this is what's going on today. And then he's like, oh, okay. Shout out. I love you, buddy. If you're listening, I love you so much. He would always just be like, do you want a hug?
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's dumb little things like that too, where if it kind of goes along with the safe space thing. I know I touched on that, but it's like, if you don't know what else to do, offer a hug, or say, do you want to talk about it? Or can I make you like a hot chocolate or something? Just offer to do something small. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. You can just offer to do something small and be like,
or
how
just
can I help you? How can I help you feel better?
Yeah, I'll sit with you. I'll sit with you in silence.
Well, there have been times where, friends have been like, well, what can I do to help? I'm like, nothing. They're like, do you want me to just sit here while you're in pain? I'm like, if you got nothing else going on.
And that's okay.
We'll like watch TV, or we'll just lay there and both of us will just feel like garbage for a minute.
The biggest thing is you're not going to fix anything.
No, and I don't want you to fix anything.
As an ally, you're not going to fix anything. As an ally, you're just there to help. You're just there
and help fix things. You can try and help fix things, but
you can give suggestions if they're open to it, but don't be mad if they don't take them, right? Because opinions are like buttholes. We all have them. But being able to sit with somebody, right? We used to call it saving space for somebody. In a certain community, it's called a safe space for you. And that's fine. Just sit with them. You can sit and both be on your phones, but as long as somebody feels like they have a connection there, you have a connection there. If you're both sitting and watching Netflix, if you're both sitting and just doing nothing, if you're just sitting listening to music,
if you're laying on the floor,
if they lay down and prostrate and all that stuff, then just sit there, let them be there, hand them Kleenex, get them a warm rag.
Because the number of times she walked in on me laying on the floor in our apartment, and she was just like, "You good? All right, I'm gonna go be in my room."
But it's part of nobody's journey is linear, ever. It's just not. Life is not linear. Life is like up and down and circles and. Jeremy Bear Me. It's just a Jeremy Bear Me. Life is like that, and if you don't know what that is, Google it. I'm not explaining it. But that's everybody's life is that way. And if you have the privilege to walk alongside somebody for a while during your lifetime who needs you in a way that is even momentary as an ally, a hug, a handhold, a hand on the back as you're walking, whether I'm leading you or following you. I kind of look at, once again, the same way as parenting. Sometimes I'm leading, sometimes I'm following, sometimes we're walking together. And then there's times I'm walking several steps behind you just to be there in case you need me. It's just part of it. But friendship is that way, and support is that way. And just love is that way, once again, going back to all that. For anybody out there who feels safe in who they are and who they are today in this moment, and you are out and about, share a little love with people today somehow. Just a small gesture. I think that's a great way to do that.
Somebody a compliment.
Yeah. Hey, man, your fit of the day looks fantastic. Whatever. I like your shoes. Your glasses are cool. Your hair looks great. I like your spandex. I don't know.
You seem like you're having a really good day, and I hope it continues for you.
Yeah. I mean, nice smile. Anything. Yeah. I'll be at the hardware store later.
I'm sorry, did
That's
you
where I'll
like
be.
your spandex? I think that just processed through.
I did. Because sometimes when I say leggings, people are like, they're not leggings.
If somebody says, I like your leggings, and even if it's not leggings, I'm like, oh, thanks.
Spandex.
That's a weird thing to notice, is that it's spandex.
Well, I'm an old lady. We notice things.
That's like looking at somebody going, nice Spanx. Oh, I can see them through your dress, by the way.
Well, I've been in those meetings too. Yeah. Having said all of that, we know this was a heavy episode. There's a reason behind it. We know lots of people that are safe, and that's great. And we love you all. We see you all. We also know there's a lot of people out there that need some safety in their lives. And if only for a brief moment out of your day, please know that we are here for you. We see you. We love you. All of the things. Hugs to you all. If I could hug everybody, I would do it. So
we also understand that at times our episodes may seem a little scattered, I guess is the best way. We kind of jump every once in a while.
We're conversational.
Sure, let's call it that.
That's what it is. It's a conversation.
I mean, just thank you guys, all of our regular watchers. Thank you guys for watching.
All the randos.
Hanging out with us for an hour, give or take, every week. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your attention. Wow,
we got like 19 randos average.
Cool. That's awesome.
Hi, guys. Oh, sorry. Hi, guys.
I was just saying, yeah, there you go, on screen. Yay.
I'm never on screen. I'm always off screen.
But again, thank you guys for just taking the time out of your week to listen to us jibber jabber about whatever we are talking about. I did that one just for you, Grandma.
Jibber jabber.
And
you're gonna call us Flibberty Gibbets next?
No.
Oh.
I prefer the word wedgelet, so
y'all are gonna be at the end. You're all like Googling words. I can see it now. People are like, "What the hell are they talking about?"
For those of you who are new to our channel, again, welcome, and we hope to see you back. Please feel free to check out our older videos, our previous videos. I say older; they're like maybe a month old.
This is episode 8.
I know. Look at us go.
Look at us go. It's almost like a habit.
Weird.
Or a series. We thank all the randos. We thank the subscribers. Like, subscribe, hit all the buttons, do all the things. I'm not saying it this week. You can't make me. Yeah. Smash the like button.
There you go. Thank you. All right, because you make me say this next part.
I do.
Next week, we'll be talking about our misconceptions. Mostly, we're going to be focusing back on specifically the disabled community. And we're going to be just kind of having fun with that one. It should be a little lighter. But maybe. Until next time, keep it queer, and we will see you back here with us for the Blithe and the Blind. Bye, guys.
Bye.